My name's Brianna Hale, and welcome to the Kinky Koala podcast.
No animals were harmed in the making of this podcast. And today I'm talking to Brianna Hale, one of my favorite. Um, how do I describe your books in like one genre?
Probably Daddy and age gap.
Exactly, exactly. You're like, whenever I need that, I go to like my comfort author, and you're like my comfort author in that area.
Oh, perfect.
So just to warm up, we're gonna talk about your books in a little bit, but for now,
Mhm.
since we're talking about warming up, do you have any like warming up in your area? Like where I am, there is no summer at all.
No, there's no summer here in London. It's just rain and rain and rain.
Did you have any plans for this summer?
No, actually, my partner and I, we're just laying low. I'm Australian. I'm living here in London, but I'm Australian, but we can't get into Australia right now because the borders are closed, and my family can't come here. So we're just having sort of a staycation and mostly just working and taking hikes and things around Greater London.
Do you?
What about you?
Oh well, I plan to go to Greece, but
Hmm.
yeah, like we're vaccinated. The borders are open right now for Greece, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's closer. That's the thing. Like it's closer, so you can go easily and you can come back. But I guess with
Oh,
Australia,
yeah.
it's a very long distance. I have friends in New Zealand, and they're planning to come back to Germany, and it's just a bit of a stress for them. So
Oh, gosh, yeah,
speaking
imagine.
yeah, speaking about you being from Australia, do you go back often? Like how often can you go there? I mean, under normal
Yeah.
conditions.
Yeah, normally I go back once or twice a year. And it's just, I always complain. Can I say bitch on this podcast? I always
Yes, you
bitch
can
about,
curse. You can curse.
yay.
We are
I
explicit.
always bitch about the flying time. And now I'm like, I'll never complain again.
See that the corona, the pandemic generally just made us realize how thankful, like for the little things, even like the things that
Oh,
annoy us.
totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like how have you been dealing with this entire situation? Like staying at home, or like did you stay at home?
Yeah, it's great that we have books and writing, and I think that's been keeping me sane. And I've been doing at-home ballet classes for exercise and to keep my mind occupied, and lots of Skype calls with my little baby nephew and things like that.
Also, you do ballet. So the protege.
Ballet,
Wait,
yeah,
what?
yeah,
Wait. Which book of yours? It wasn't the protege. The protege is the music thing. Isn't there?
yes. So
Didn't you
Rush
write?
has ballet.
Right. Oh, yes. Right. So we're
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about the connections to your life in like a
yeah. There's
little
quite a
bit.
few.
Because yeah, so do you oh my god, now have lost now see we talked about Rush for a little bit, and I'm lost because I really loved the book. Like I have been in a slump lately, and like really I saw the cover, like you've been promoting it for a while, and I had it on my Kindle Unlimited. But I always like, there are some authors that you don't really, I mean, you cherish them a lot and you keep their books for a time in need when you're like, I don't have like anything like to make me like love reading again. And then I take like my
Oh,
Brianna Hale book, and I'm like, oh, I'm back now. This is like my
oh,
time
that's
to
so
like,
lovely.
yeah. And I really love that
Yeah, I
about your
really like
books.
that. I really like hearing that from people that they pick them up because they're like a hug, and it's so sweet because that's how I feel when I'm writing them as well.
So let's move on to like the kinky play area of the podcast where we talk about you as an author. Like I don't remember exactly which. Oh, right. The Fox book, the collection that you were a part
The
of
Black
last
Fox,
year.
yes.
Exactly. That was my first book by you, and then I continued with the Court of Paravel series. But obviously, you've
Huh?
been around for a little while. So tell me a
Mm.
little bit about your life before writing, and then like your transition to publishing. Like, because I know you have, I mean, we can talk about that later, but first, just tell me a little bit about your life before writing.
Sure. Yeah, so I've been working in publishing since I left uni. I was working as a copywriter, so I'd be the one writing marketing emails and website copy and sales copy and things like that. So that's where I learned to write, and then I decided I wanted to get out of marketing and try my own work. So I was editing. I started writing and also editing nonfiction biographies. So that was when I started doing ghostwriting in London, and I just loved it because I love sitting down with someone and hearing all their best stories. So I work for a company who connects writers with families and individuals who want their story told. And it's absolutely fascinating work. I get people's stories about like the Cold War and their experiences during the Second World War, and then people who come from Lebanon and Syria and Turkish Cyprus and all these different places. So uh, people who have had traumatic experiences, and then business people who want sort of their business careers documented. So I get all sorts of different people, and I find it fascinating.
What
And
is
so from
like,
then,
yes?
oh, sorry, go on.
No, continue, continue, continue.
Yeah, and so then I also read a lot of romance. I've always loved romance, ever since I was reading my nana's Harlequins and my mum's historical romances. And when I was a teenager, I think from about 14, I think I was about 14 when I started writing fan fiction for Labyrinth and Xena Warrior Princess and Buffy the Vampire Slayer and all sorts of shows. So that's how I spent my writing career before I was writing romance novels. And then in 2016, 2017, I wrote Little Dancer. I think that was the right year. Yeah, my first book, my first Brianna Hale book is Little Dancer, and I wrote it. I was on Tumblr, I think, and I was looking at like porn gifs as writers tend to do.
Like a lot of
And I
us,
saw this,
yes.
yeah, back when Tumblr was good. And I came across this gif of, it wasn't even an explicit one. It was a guy sitting on the edge of a bed, and you could see his like chest downwards, and he had a belt in his hand, and he like cracked over his knee. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's pretty great. Let's do some more. Let's do some more exploring around there, and that's how I ended up writing Little Dancer.
So it's a transition from like the nonfiction subjects that you mentioned earlier to like the romance.
Hmm.
Like, if I mean, I'm not gonna make you choose, but like, what is like, I mean, favorite? I don't know. What is like your favorite part about like doing the nonfiction part, and what is your favorite part about like the romance that you do?
Mm.
Because you do very different. Like, it's very contrasting.
Yes, it is very different. I think the what I love best about nonfiction writing is that it gets me out and connected to people, and I get to see them in their house, and I get to hear all their stories and take something that they're really passionate about and put it into words. And it's a really, when it works well, it's a really great connection. Sometimes it's a bad mix and I don't feel like quite such a rapport with someone, but when it's a really good rapport, we have a great project and I have a really great time with them. And then romance, the best bit, oh gosh, I love managing a project from beginning to end, and I think that's the best thing about self-publishing is where you get to think of the idea, and from this like first idea that you have, it you take it through all the process, and suddenly there's this book at the end, and you get to give it to people, and it's crazy. I think That's my favorite thing about it. And then getting messages from people saying how much they loved reading the books, and especially with books that have sort of serious subject matters like Control Freak, which deals with eating disorders. People who come to me and say that it really touched them, and they really connected with it because of the material, and I think that's the best part.
I think anything you write, sort of like, I haven't yet read Control Freak. I'm going extra slow because I'm cherishing it. I'm cherishing your
No, thank you.
catalog. I've read like 80%, I would say. I've read 80%
Uh-huh.
with the Dirty Daddies anthologies and all that. Of course, that's something I
Hmm.
instantly read, because that's the curiosity. No, I'm kidding. But like you always have something like intense and like intriguing and emotional to your stories. It's never just about like the kink or like the salacious, do you say salacious,
Hmm.
I don't know, the it's not just about that. I mean, I don't really like to cry to books, but like I think I cried to The Protege. Like that book just
Oh
touched me
yeah,
so much, and I don't even
yeah.
like, it was just because you connect with your books so much. But so yeah, because you have this experience of like the other end of the spectrum, like where you're in a official, like official, we're also official, but it's a different type of official, like the
Official.
publishing industry in itself, and then you have also like the perks of doing it on your own. Like, I mean,
Mm.
you also kind of mentioned it already, that you like the part of like having it all on your own, and like you being the sole like decision maker, so to say.
Mm.
So yeah, so you've touched upon like the the biographies and the does that tie in with the ghost writing? I mean, with the
Yes, so
biographies,
that is the
that's
ghost writing.
okay.
So
Okay.
I write the books as if I am the person usually. Sometimes it's in third person, but often it's in first person. So they tell me their story and the story of their life, and then I write it down for them.
Ah, okay, okay. So like with celebrities, for example, when they say like, "Oh, Mariah Carey," because I love Mariah Carey so much, with Michaela Angela Davis or whatever.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Like so many celebrity biographies are ghost written, and so it's a really great job. I would love to do a celebrity one. I would love to do Princess Mary of Denmark's actually, because she's Australian like me. So if she's listening, if she ever wants a ghost written biography, I'm a girl.
Do you like, how does that, I mean, just quickly out of curiosity, like how does that work? So you're like you're at a company and they just assign you to people, and you basically like, if it connects, you work well with them. Like, how can you imagine such a situation?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So I freelance for the company, and it starts off with a phone call, and I ask about them, and they ask about me, and we talk about the project and who they're aiming it for.
So basically, it's like as if you're writing a fiction, like as if you're writing your, I mean, process wise.
Yeah, it is very similar. I think what makes a really good nonfiction book is the same as a fiction book, where it's narrative nonfiction. So I work with the person to pull out the theme of their life, like what's the overarching theme, and then we hang everything on that. And I'm trying to think. Oh, I did one recently where it was an 80 something year old woman, 90, and it was all about because she's got this huge family now, like grandchildren and great grandchildren, great great grandchildren, and the the theme of her life was this legacy of strength that she created. She emigrated to the UK, and she built herself up, and as she built herself up through hard work, she created this sort of bedrock of strength for her family to grow from. And so that was the theme of her story that we pulled out.
So I love that you're basically like this is like a dream. I don't know. I don't know if you could call it the dream life, but like that's so. I mean, I find it fascinating that you have both sides of the publishing industry, and that you're just so embedded into that life, into the author life in a way. I really
It's
love
really
that
nice.
about.
It really beats going into the office every day.
So, I'm gonna transition to another question that I have for you, because I love like thinking about like world building and settings in books.
Hmm.
Obviously, like I think most of your books have like real settings. Like a lot are also set in London, but you also
Hmm.
had like the fictional setting, for example, and I think I mean it's fictional, right? The Paravel Court, for example.
Hmm.
How do you like? What do you prefer? Like, do you like doing? Do you enjoy doing realistic, like real cities? Do you enjoy creating different universe? I mean, not a different universe, but like a fake city.
Yeah. I like setting when I set books in London. I really enjoy setting them in London and in the UK because I can really get a sense of the place. Like, for example, in The Protege, it's set in Hampstead, and it's set in Hampstead because it's just the way I describe it in the book. Like the house that Laszlo lives in, I can walk along the street in Hampstead and see that red brick Victorian house everywhere, and the heath, and it's so lush and green. And Hampstead's famous for attracting musicians and artists and actors and so on. It's a really beautiful part of London, so it's just a perfect place. And it was such a contrast to the world that Isabeau grew up in like a really poverty stricken part of London. um, and when she's sort of taken by him to Hampstead, it's like she didn't even realize that a place like this existed just across the river from her. So I really love settings, and I usually have, as you said, I usually do have a real city, but I do like creating cities. Like with I've just launched a new pen name, Lilith Vincent, and she writes reverse harem romance. And the trilogy that I'm working on for her, which starts with First Comes Blood, is set in a fictional city called Cold Lake. And I wanted to invent a city for this series because I blended a few different American cities in together. I took a little bit of Perseverance in Rhode Island and a little bit of Vegas and a little bit of Chicago
Oh,
and New York, and
oh,
sort of blended them in because like these are the cities that are famous for gambling and the mafia and organized crime and so on. But I didn't want to set it in one of those cities because the world that I was creating was these four men have all have got a little piece of this city that they control, and I thought it would be too hard to sort of map their territory like onto Chicago, for example, because it would like people from Chicago would be able to tell that I was fudging things, and so I just
yeah.
thought I'll make it like an amalgam of these different American cities, and I think it's worked quite well. I hope so, anyway.
I totally feel you on that. I always have the same fear with like if I make a book about Los Angeles or New York, will people who are from there think that I have never been there because I don't get the details right? Like, this is
Mm,
an anxiety you have. But obviously, you can never. I don't think that even people that are from there or like that are American or whatever, that even they can portray like the real because the real essence of a city because everyone experiences things differently.
that's exactly
So
right. Yeah.
right. And I mean, I was because Rush is also located. I mean, in London, it's like countryside London. Like, how do you call that?
Yes.
Where Rush is situated?
Yeah, so I don't know how much this is known overseas at all, but in Britain, it has been sort of a rock star cliche that you make tons of money as a rock star and then you buy a massive country house and with all your squillions of dollars and pounds. And so that's what Rush has done in by the time he meets Dre. And so it's set in a fictional part of a real county called Shropshire, which is a few hours from London to the north west, just over by Wales. And it's just a beautiful green and lush and beautiful part of the country.
I have never, I mean, I studied in England for a year in Sheffield in the north.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and I traveled a little bit with by train. I traveled to Manchester. I went up to Newcastle. I went down to London. We went to a town in I don't want to butcher the name, Yangolan. I apologize to the Walish people
That's okay. It's
because
really hard to say. I get a trip up on them all the time.
Welsh, not Wales. Gaelish is something
Yeah.
else. It's Welsh. I apologize twice. So yeah, we went there, and I went. I mean, I didn't manage to go lower than London, but I instantly like I knew how like I didn't know it was a fake setting. That's how much my geographical knowledge. Is my expertise, but I mean, good that I know now that it's a fake setting in a real place.
Yeah.
But I imagined it, like I knew I had an image of like what it would look like. And yeah, I just loved that. It gave me like the rock star thing that you did with that. It was a bit, it wasn't like the usual rock star romance, I would say. It had, I don't know, it had like this oldish vibe to it, like this like classic thing of like the classic rock star. I don't know, like if
Mm.
right, like I
Yeah,
just the
he's
vibe that I
definitely,
got
yeah, he's
with
based heavily on
yeah.
David Bowie, actually. I love David Bowie. I've always loved Bowie.
Oh.
And I think what I admire most about him, especially these days, apart from his music, is the fact that he was just an amazing human being and he was so
Yeah.
big hearted and so smart. And he
Mm-hmm.
really did care about his fans and he really did care about just being a good person. And I really love that about him. And so when he passed away, I really missed him. So this was sort of a little bit based on him and a little bit based on Kurt Cobain as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just that the talent and the energy and the enthusiasm. So Rush has got a lot of energy, as you've probably seen in the book.
Yeah,
He's just a
yeah.
very big-hearted and passionate person, and that's how I like to think of rock stars.
I really like that.
And
And I
oh, the
like
other thing it's
yeah.
based on. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, continue. I'll add it later.
The other thing it's based on is in the 90s. This was before my time, but I was aware of it. Kurt Cobain was before my time as well, but obviously everyone's aware of him. And but in Britain, there was this massive rock rivalry between Oasis
Oh,
and Blur.
yes,
And
yes, I know
have
that.
you heard of those two bands?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and everybody in the country, they were the biggest bands in the country and some of the biggest bands in the world as well. And in America, I think, and overseas, Oasis was the bigger band.
Mm-hmm.
Blur is a bit more. I think they had their popularity mostly in the UK, but Blur and Oasis had this massive rivalry, and they were sort of like total shits to each other. Blur, I feel like they did it in a funny way. Like when they
Mm-hmm.
won the Mercury Music Awards, the bassist from Blur wore an Oasis t-shirt on stage. It was sort of like a bit of the middle finger to them. And then Oasis is a bit more brash and aggressive, and I kind of like them less. I'm firmly more in the Blur camp. If it came, someone had a gun to my head. So I based the rivalry between Saint Cyprian, which is Rush's band, and Palatine, which is his nemesis, Striker Jones's band, on those two, and just that sheer hatred that
Mm-hmm.
underlies everything between the two of the bands. And then when Dree comes along and she's already worked with Palatine and now she's working with Saint Cyprian, Rush is obviously gets his back up and is really protective of her because he knows exactly what his nemesis is like. And I just really loved the having a really big, over energetic, possessive, and like good guy rock star to protect her.
I love, oh my God, this is, I didn't, I mean, I watched a Netflix documentary on the Blur Oasis beef the other day.
Hmm.
And I mean, I was aware of the beef between them, and the documentary wasn't even that detailed. But oh, now it makes total sense. The book, now it makes even more sense. I really love that. And even with like the David Bowie inspo and everything, like, because he was also dancing, right? And I mean, it's not a spoiler. We can like, right? We can
Yeah,
say
no, you
that,
can. That's
yeah.
not a spoiler.
Yeah, so I mean, I love that. It had this retro vibe, and then like this twist
Mm.
to the modern. I love that. I personally listen to Oasis more, but I don't
Uh-huh.
listen. I listen to 5 songs of Oasis. I'm not a bit. I'm an Arctic
Yeah, well,
Monkeys
I used.
person.
Oh, I love Arctic Monkeys. Yeah, that song. Oh God, it's one of their ones
New
that's all over
ones.
TikTok right now. Slave. I want to be a slave. Is that
No, that's
that's
actually
men?
not Arctic Monkeys. That's the
No, it's not,
Eurovision
is it?
winner of
That's Manskin.
2021.
Yeah,
But
the
they love the
Italians,
Arctic
they're
Monkeys.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah, they love them. So they mentioned that they're fans of theirs, and I love that the new rock bands, they're kind of like bending their like masculinity or something. This lad culture.
Totally, it's so
Yeah,
sexy.
yeah. I love that. So yeah, oh my God, I'm totally gushing over Rush. So yeah, that's like that's amazing that you told me about that. So speaking of like what you mentioned about this like good, I mean this good-hearted, this overprotective, yes, and like this good-natured type of like rock star in Rush, for example, like I mentioned this earlier, but also in your books, obviously we know you for your kinky content and for your execution of your kinky content, and like how, I don't know how to describe it, like you just do it well. Let's just put it that way.
No, thank
And
you.
and I personally, especially with Rush and even like with the Protege and like the Love Don't Cost a Thing Do It. By the way, did you name that after the J-Lo song, or is that just my
Yes, I
wish?
did. I love that song.
So basically, like you have to me it seems, I mean, obviously I don't know if I've read like dark. Did have you ever done dark books, like dark books?
I think my darkest book as Brianna would be Lap of Luxury because it's got the dub con and the kidnapping. And I'm just trying to think. There is a short story that I'm currently expanding right now, which is a stalker romance called Take You. And that was in the Stalkers anthology that was out earlier in the year. So I'm reworking that now and expanding it. And that's a bit dark too, obviously. It's got Dub Con in it and kidnapping again. I think with my Lilith is darker than my Brianna stuff. Lilith books, there's blood play, there's gun play, knife play, there's sort of darker themes and there's definitely more violence. But I'm definitely not a pitch black author where like everyone's like I love my big happy endings and I
Yeah.
think and I don't write a lot of suffering, so um if there's going to be dubcon, like she's going to come.
Yeah,
She's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
definitely enjoying herself by the end of it. I do love a bit of dubcon, and even in my first book, Little Dancer, he there's dubcon in there because he pulls her over his knee and spanks her without in his office without asking first, which is in certain the BDSM readers, they don't like that at all because it all has to be very safe, sane, and consensual. And I absolutely agree with that in real life. But I do like to put a little bit of dubcon in quite a lot of my books. So um, I think it's not in all of them. Like Come to Daddy, the first of the Love Don't Cost a Thing duet. It's all very consensual between them. Like he's the one who's pushing her away, and he's like, "Will you just take my money and leave me alone?" And she's like, "No, you're paying for my services. I don't understand why you don't want them." So that was such a fun book to write because I just love
Yeah.
playing with that idea of the sugar baby. Is usually in real life the stories I was researching about sugar babies, like they are the ones who were like, where can I find a daddy, how can I get his money? And I thought, wouldn't it be funny to write a story about a daddy who's like, please take all my money but just like leave me the fuck alone. And
Yeah.
why would he be doing that?
So I think basically, like, especially now that you mention it, like the first Love Don't Cost a Thing, why can't I say that normally? Love don't cost a thing. It's a tongue, what is it called? Tongue breaker?
Tongue
Zungenbrecher.
twister.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Tongue twister. That was like, especially, yeah, that was very funny. And I find that your books, you do have some wholesome, like this feel good aspect to the whole like kink aspect of like romance books, whatever you want to call it. And like I really appreciate that about your stories, that there's humor to it, there's like it's emotional as well, and then you have like these like Rush, especially, that was like I really needed that book this month, so that was really
yeah
good
rush
to
was
read.
yeah Rush was fun because he's such a daddy where he wants to daddy her and be all lovely, but she's just feeling so rotten, and she's like, will you treat me like I'm shit? And he's like, well, I can, but just understand that like I'm putting it on, like this is not how I really feel about you. And she's all like, stop talking and just be horrible to me. So that was quite fun to write, where he could switch it on for her, but at the end of the day he wanted her to feel like she could have that, but she didn't need to think about herself like that.
So I noticed, I'm not sure, I don't remember exactly from the other books, but like in Rush, I noticed that it was like he hadn't done this before. And like, how important is it to you, especially because you mentioned earlier about like the BDSM community and like how they're portrayed and how they wish they were portrayed. Like,
Hmm.
how important is it to you to portray like maybe people that are first timers, or like certain rituals in such situations? Like, do you take this very seriously, or do you like take creative liberty in situations? Like, what is your opinion on that? Like, can you like dive deep
Um,
into that?
I think with a book like Rush, where it is, I try to make it a realistic relationship as possible. So it was definitely going to include things like safe words, and they're going to discuss their limits. And it is important to me when it's a book like Rush. I think when I have a more fragile heroine, I am more careful about making sure that they're both approaching it in a sane, consensual way. So, and that was really important writing Control Freak as well, which has the eating disorders. So the ones that have a fragile heroine and a sort of more, they're not dark books, they're regular kink books. I definitely want to show kink in a healthy way, and then the dark books, it's sort of a bit more, all bets are off.
Yeah, I mean, no, but I mean, and most people that read it don't even like, they wouldn't really notice either way. They just like, if you go on Facebook, they just read anything you dish it, like they don't mind anyway. So I think as
Yeah.
authors, it's mostly like, I mean, at least for me, I don't know how it is for you, it's mostly like how I feel about putting this out there. I don't know, like I mean, obviously you have a responsibility for like what you put out there, but sometimes I just feel like, would I feel okay like putting this out there? But even, I mean, yeah, and I believe at the end of the day it's fiction, and people also have like a responsibility to like to dissect the words that they're reading. Like, don't take this to like, if an author tells you to jump off a bridge, you don't necessarily do that. So I mean,
Yeah, I think I think the books I run into trouble with that I get negative reviews, I think, or get people discussing them. It's more, I guess it's the dark books because I do put trigger warnings, content warnings, or author's notes. The ones that I guess because I write daddy books, I'm used to people finding those. Some people find that disgusting and they hate it,
yeah,
and so I'll get reviews sometimes that say the author should have put a warning on that this has daddy content because I find that disgusting, and it does. Um, it is a shame when I say that because I do my best to signal if a book has dark content, if a book has daddy content. So all we can do is our best, and then reviews go out there. But the reviews
yeah.
aren't for me; they're for other people to gauge whether they want to read a book or not. So yeah,
And I
I
think
think it's. Sorry, go on. You go.
no, no, like I think the negative reviews are just sometimes, especially in like the genre that you write in, or like any like kinkier romance or like steamy romance. The nastier the reviews, the more people gravitate to them. I feel like, especially the ones,
Totally.
right, the ones that want to read that sort of thing are like, oh yes, I'm gonna go and support this author. This sounds exactly like it's my thing.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you must know this well because you write dark romance. So when you get that one-star review that says, this isn't dark, this is just abuse, you know that all the
Yeah,
dark
yeah.
romance readers will be like, tell me more.
Yeah, I had a review recently where they complained that my heroine, that had an OCD disorder of like scratching herself like obsessively to like bleeding,
Mhm.
that I didn't make my heroine cut her nails. And she just went to get a haircut, and they said like, you should have made her cut her nails. And I'm like, what type of detail is that? Like, why, what are you
That's
complaining about
right.
exactly? Like,
Yeah.
okay, okay, fine, she'll cut her nails.
Oh no.
But yeah, yeah, I mean, I find it amusing, like dark romance reviews. I at first, of course, because I'm very young and like I'm not like too experienced, so to say. I'm still figuring things out. At first, it was daunting and it just like hurt a little bit, but like now,
Yeah.
5 months in, you're starting to like, okay, whatever. Goodreads. I don't know her. What is Goodreads? I've never been on Goodreads. Like, I don't know this lovely platform. What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So um, let's move on and talk about like your Lilith books, because recently you published the first out of a trilogy in that
Hmm.
universe, and you already talked about like creating.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so the first book, First Comes Blood, that one's out now. So that one came out about less than 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago or something
Mm-hmm.
crazy. It's been
Mm-hmm.
amazing. I've been absolutely blown away because being a debut author again, of course, I did tell everyone, all my Brianna readers about it. But reverse, because it's a reverse harem romance, some people love it and some people hate it. So a few people came along with me, which was awesome. And then
Mm-hmm.
what's really been amazing is TikTok. They just love
Mm-hmm.
they just love TikTok just loves reverse harem romance. So I've been happily over there posting videos and so on. So the second book is Second Comes War, which I'm editing now, and that one's out on September 22. And then the final
Mm-hmm.
book, Third Comes Vengeance, is December 8.
Will you be publishing anything by Brianna in between, or are you just focusing on Lilith right now?
Yes. Yes, I am. So Brianna has September 30 is the Dirty Daddies anthology for
Oh,
2021, which is the
right.
third one
Already
we're doing. So
pre-ordered.
yeah, awesome. Thank you. It's got lovely, a sexy silver model, Kevin. Oh gosh, what's his last name? I'm drawing a blank. It's Kevin anyway. He's on Silver. I think he's Silver Fox Kevin on Instagram, and he's gorgeous. So he's our cover model this year. And this year I am doing a Dark Daddy book, which I
Ooh,
love.
that's amazing.
And did
So,
you see the reason? Did you know the reason I started writing this one?
no,
Are
no.
you in
Oh,
my
wait.
Facebook group?
I am in your face group. I know that you made like this poll where we had to vote, but I don't know any other
Yeah. So that was
details.
That's right. So, first of all, I just had this idea in my head, and I thought, I just wrote a little imagine um, where it was this your boyfriend's got this debt to all these bad people, and to settle the debt, he's given you to them, and now you're up at a virginity auction, basically, and you're
Mm-hmm.
bought by someone, some dark, shadowy figure in the crowd. And it turns out it's your boyfriend's dad, and you're just so grateful that you've been rescued
Oh,
from your terrible, terrible fate. And you're like, please take me home. And then he's like, I'm not taking you home because I've just bought you and now you belong to me. And so and then I put together 9 pictures of like hot guys. I'm like, this is the fantasy. Now choose the daddy that you want to go with it. So it was like Henry Cavill and Mads Mikkelsen and things like that. And it was just a
oh,
fun little imagine that I put up in my
that's
group, and
interesting.
everyone commented, please write this story.
That okay, now I know what I'm looking forward to. I'm always like the Dirty Daddies anthology and the Taboo anthology by the Yolanda Olsons and those
Oh,
people.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
those are like my September pre-orders. Like the moment they go up for pre-order, click, one click.
Oh, awesome.
um,
Yes.
so I'm okay now. I'm excited for that one. So I think is it going to be the last Dirty Daddies, or is there another one coming? Do you know that?
No, we do them every year. So we've also started branching out into, there's a Dirty Daddy's Pride anthology as well. I'm not in that one. That
Yes, I
one's out
saw
already.
that. Yeah.
And I believe that one's going ahead next year. And the Dirty
Oh,
Daddy's anniversary anthology, yeah, we'll keep doing those. The group's just going so well. It's wonderful.
oh, that's cool. That's nice. That's good to hear. Because my other anthology is stopping. So I'm like, I'm sad now. But like
Oh,
the fact that Dirty Daddies is continuing, that's amazing. But yeah,
yeah.
let's let's go back to the Lilith books. So,
Mhm.
did you tell me now if you're going to continue with Lilith after this trilogy is finished? What
I
do you
think so.
think?
I've been so happy, Arabella. I've just loved it. It's wonderful. To I've got a lovely editor, and I'm really enjoying the my fellow authors. We've set up 6 of us have set up a group together called Dark and Dangerous Reverse Harem Readers. So
Mm-hmm.
Madeline Fay, Jessa Hallowell, Amanda Richardson. Um, Oh, there are more, but I've blanked on them. But the group of us, we're having a lovely time, and I'm just loving. I think what's nice about writing Lilith is that I can write slightly younger guys. So these guys are like 29-ish to 35,
Mm-hmm.
36, and the heroine's 18. And I just, because it's mafia romance, I'm like virgins and older guys, bring it on.
That's spot
But they
on.
are slightly younger than my usual. And because they're not daddies, I've really just let my asshole freak flag fly, and there's lots of dubcon, and there's lots of um, questionable kinkiness. There's a bit of kinkiness that it comes in terms of like blood play and gunplay and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So I'm really enjoying that, and they're very fast paced, and and just gritty and like lots of drama and kidnappings and car chases and plot twists. Because I don't do plot twists as Brianna. There are plot twists in this one, and there's like gore and blood on the page, which I don't usually do in Brianna either.
I'm curious to start this series. And what did you
Hope you
think
like
like
them.
about? I definitely will. I haven't met a Brianna Hale book that, or like, I mean, a book by you, say not Brianna Hale, a book by you that I
Yeah.
haven't liked.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
like, I mean, I mean, because with you haven't written any other menage or like reverse white shoes book before, right? This was your
Yeah,
first one.
that's
What did
right.
you think? And what made you like go into that? Because yeah, just tell me like what made you go into that universe?
I've always loved reading them, and I had this idea as I was listening to a podcast last year called Crime Town. I'm absolutely addicted to true crime podcasts, and I was
Mm-hmm.
listening to a podcast about Providence in Rhode Island and the corrupt mayor there, and his links to the Cosa Nostra, and it just got me thinking about how organized crime works. You have the captains who all work for the boss, and there's always, um, they're very in mafia romance novels. They're always so possessive and jealous. And I was
Mm-hmm.
reading a lot of reverse harem romances that had sort of, I guess, gang romances where it's very gritty and urban and stuff. But I wanted a
Mm-hmm.
reverse harem romance. It was like diamonds and fast cars and suits. And I just had this craving for it. So I thought, I'll give it a go. And I wanted to, I think, because also it was a bit of a challenge because mafia guys, I know that there is a perception that they would never share a woman. They are so obsessive and possessive that they couldn't even fathom the thought of someone else laying a finger on their woman. But I was like,
Mm-hmm.
how could I make it work where these four guys are so possessive, like crazed obsessive and violent, and they will kill anyone who touches their woman, but they're all sharing one woman. So I'm like, how would that make
Mm-hmm.
that work? So that's how I came up with the book.
Yeah, that's like I relate to that. I mean, I had the same issue like with my last book and with my current book where this is supposed to be, I mean, it's not directly mafia. My person is the son of a mafia lady, but he's left that life. And
Hmm.
it's basically he's sharing his girl with twins, with like a
Hmm.
set of twins. And
Oh,
I don't
nice.
like it was like but I think I've like it's once you get over that like frigid like that frigid concept of like masculinity where like oh my god I have to be like the one alpha, like there can't be like shit there can't be a pie that you can share basically. Once you get
Yeah.
over that you can get into like and get to the good stuff where like your characters can have a little
Yeah.
bit of fun.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, I totally like I tried reverse. I mean, I tried menage, and then I was like, why do I have to settle for one character for my heroine when I can have
Yes,
more?
exactly. More.
Yeah, but it's like once you go multiple, I mean, multiple heroes, you don't go. I mean, you do go back, but obviously, it's very fun to write like these menage, reverse harem romances. So I'm
Yes.
curious to see how it works in like your Lilith books once I read it, because like you already like when you write it for one guy, it's already so like enticing, and I wonder how it's going to be like for the Lilith book where it's like more
Oh, yeah. Well,
guys
I hope
and
you enjoy it.
like whoa. So speaking of like your current Lilith books and everything, do you have any current whips or like work in progress or like any future
Yeah.
plans that you can like
So, two things.
yeah.
So I mentioned I mentioned that I'm expanding Take You, which is the stalker romance, and then I've also got the Bought by Daddy, which is in the Dirty Daddies anthology, and the third whip at the moment is a co-writing project with Lila James. Lila James is amazing. She writes
Mm-hmm.
um, really high stakes, like big romance, big feels, big drama, mafia
Mm-hmm.
romance, and forbidden romance. And we're working on a project, and I can't say the title. I have to say the acronym, which is
Yes.
LMYD. Oh, sorry, MD. It's really hard to remember. So I can't talk about, I can't tell you the title, but I can tell you a little bit about the project. We are almost finished with the first draft, which is so exciting. It's a dark romance. It's consensual non-consent, and it's set in a Canadian small town.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got an assassin in it. His name is Dante, and the heroine. He's so it's an age gap dark romance,
Mm-hmm.
and he's 30. I believe he's late 30s, 38, 39. He's big and he's got tattoos. The cover is to die for. We found the perfect man. It's a Wanda Agua picture.
Oh,
Wanda
that's
is
bound to be good.
he
Yeah.
takes the he just what I love about Wanda's photography is he can get that smolder out of the guys he photographs, and they're just perfectly posed, and they've got the shirts and the chests and tattoos and everything that's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the most stunning photograph of Dante for the cover, so I cannot wait to reveal that. And our heroine is called Willow, and she's younger. She's 19, 20. I think she turns 20 towards the end of the book. And she is the girl in the small town when the big bad assassin rocks up. And he is a villain with a hero complex. So writing his character is so much fun.
Is it a standalone? Right.
It is,
Right?
yes. So it's a big fat book. My Brianna books are usually about 70, 80,000 words. Lila writes much longer though. And because this is a big story, it's going to be about 110, I think, 120,000 words by the time we finish it. So it's a big fat book, with lots of drama and lots of smut and lots of feels, and he's a very intense man, and she's a very intense girl in her way as well. So she's I think it's a very good example of like I feel like it is as anyway. I hope readers will as well. Like where you take two authors and the things that they love to do best, and then you smush them
Mm-hmm.
together, and this is what's come out. So it's very much a blend of our styles and tastes.
You're totally like selling this to me, and I want to read it now.
Thank you.
When is it coming out? Do you have any like idea, approximately a time span?
We're thinking, we're looking at this autumn, this fall. So we haven't set a date just yet. So we're just getting, because
Mm-hmm.
we're juggling so many projects,
Yeah,
and we're
yeah.
passing it back and forth. We've been careful not to set a date just yet. But as soon as we do, we'll be able to. It'll be done and it'll be there and it'll be awesome. I hope.
How did like I mean, just shortly before we go into like our final section,
Hmm.
how did you like connect with Lila? Because I mean, I love her books as well. Like, Do You Dare was one of
Mm.
my like favorite duets like last year. How did you like connect with her? Because it's in like I find that in our community sometimes it's like difficult to like find authors or other authors with whom you can share your experiences with, like form a friendship. Like, how was it for you?
Mm. Well, Lila reached out to me. She'd been right from the beginning. Like she was reading, and she still reads a lot of daddy books. So she got an
Mm-hmm.
arc of a review copy of Little Dancer, my very first book, and she messaged me. And
Aw.
I hadn't read her books, but I knew her, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, because she was already huge because of the Mafia and His Angel.
Mm-hmm.
She'd been published those, I think, she'd been on Wattpad for a while, and then
Yeah.
I think the first one of hers had been out on Amazon for about 6 months by the time I had Little Dancer out, and so I read all her books and I fucking love them. And we chatted more and more over the years. So the friendship built up slowly, and we've always chatted back and forth. And it's been wonderful. Like we both watch K dramas, and we read smutty mangas, and we just talk about movies, and we talk. One of the things that inspired our book is a movie. I won't go into the details yet because we haven't talked much about those
Yes,
publicly yet.
yes.
But we
Don't.
were discussing a movie, and we were like, "What if?" Because we didn't like the ending because they didn't end
Mm-hmm.
up together. We're like, "What if?" And it kind of grew from there.
Oh, great. That's nice to hear. I didn't know. I thought like, oh, you were probably both authors and you connected that way, but it's nice to hear like that also that she was reading you and like you're reading her. That's very good to
Mm.
hear. That's nice to hear. Yeah, I'm so excited for that book and I'm also like looking forward to like the Lilith books. And also like your future Brianna endeavors. Let's go into our final section, which is basically
Is this called aftercare? This section.
yes, exactly. I'm very predictable, but we have a club
I
to
love
run,
it.
and it has to
You've
be.
structured perfectly. I feel very taken care of.
So what's? I mean, we've talked a lot about writing and reading. So, what's an activity outside of writing that you can't live without?
It's definitely dance or movement. I was doing ice skating until COVID closed all the rinks down.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to dance as a kid, and then I used to go clubbing a lot. And then now that I'm 36 and we're all trapped inside, I'm like, God, I really miss dancing. And I'm just, dancing around the kitchen is fun. But I thought I'd try ice skating because I always had reasonable good balance as a kid. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was taking coaching and I was really enjoying that. Figure skating is wonderful. Like, I absolutely love the movement, but falling down is scary because you're going fast and it's easy to trip. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I was really enjoying that. There was one occasion at the rink, I was there by myself, not with my coach. I was going backwards, and there was this very nice, tall silver fox. I hadn't spotted him yet, but I did see a man there, and he had these two tiny little girls with him, and they were in pink and these little
Oh.
skates, and that was so adorable. And so he was distracted talking to them, and I was practicing my one of the backwards moves. I forget what it's called now, but I was going backwards, and he was going backwards as well, talking to his little daughters, and we smacked into each other. And he grabbed me, and I grabbed him, and it was such a romance novel moment that I'm like, I have to put this in a book. Quick, think of a book. So that's going to be in Bought by Daddy. So the heroine is a figure skater, and it's very, very expensive to be a professional figure skater, and she's not wealthy at all. So that's the one of the strains on her life when she gets into this romance with him. Um, what was the question? Oh yeah, what do
Look,
I do
what
outside
I
of books?
mean, you
So when
you basically
I got
explained it very
distracted by Daddy.
thoroughly. You explained it very
So
thoroughly.
that's why, yeah, when COVID started, couldn't go to the rink anymore, and hiking's really fun. I do hiking with my partner, and we have a great time doing that. But I just love to dance, and I love to do movement that's quite structured, like so where it's where you can do drills, where you repeat exercises. I find it just relaxes my brain. And I remember that ballet was something I really loved when I was a kid. And so I found a really great teacher online who runs Zoom ballet classes, and she's in Philadelphia. Her name's Amy Novinsky, and she is amazing. I love her to bits. So I got my bar at home, and I got my ballet shoes, and I do my classes,
Oh.
and I do my stretches, and I love it. And I've just enrolled in some local classes in London because I want to get on point. So if you don't know ballet, on point is the special shoes that ballerinas wear that help them stand on their tiptoes, and they're pretty satin shoes. And ballerinas make it look so easy, but balancing and standing on the points of your shoes, you have to have such strong feet and such strong calves, and it takes years to build up the strength. So that's my on my bucket list to do, is to get on point. So that's what I've been filling up my days with lately.
So what, I mean, I'm curious just on a side note, like what type of music do you enjoy dancing to the most?
Um, I love dancing around to all sorts. So I used to go clubbing to house music a lot, German house music. Because I used to live in Melbourne, and the amazing DJs would come through. And so I'd go dancing to house music with friends, and then I'd go dancing to fun pop music in the gay clubs with my gay friends. And then I absolutely adore pop music, and I love electro, and I love rock music. So anything really.
So wait. Now that you mentioned gay friends, this is actually very strange that I'm bringing it up right now. But would you ever consider writing a gay romance? Is that something that you read or that you like? I mean, the romance book.
I don't read MM, but I in reverse harem books, it's very getting more and more popular to have MM in the harem, and so I thought I'd dip my little toe in the water. Not in the main book for First Comes Blood, not in the books themselves, but I did have an idea for two of the guys and to running an MMF scene that I will include at the back of the second book, Second Comes War, because I can't resist. So it'll be my first go at MM.
That's interesting. Yeah, I totally missed that because like it's like different spaces for different authors. Like with Nyla, it's like I relate her to like MM, like that's her thing. And with you, I have like
Definitely.
such different like idea of you. So it was kind of nice to like see, because it's always like, I mean, I know you and I know like your core like I know your core. What? That sounds strange, but like I know what like the what I can expect from you when I'm reading you. So, but it's always
Mm.
nice to like see like your favorite people, like your favorite authors, like try out something new and stuff. So,
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited.
any like I mean, then I have another question. Basically, like is there something that you would have done differently, either in your career or your life? Something that you know now that you wish you knew back then? Or are you like more of a person that says,
It's
let's
so
like,
funny. It's so funny. That's exactly the question I ask my biography clients as one of the last questions. And I always think, thank God no one ever asked me that. um, no, there's not. It's every book that I release, I learn something new about myself and about the writing industry, and about readers and what they want. And it's all about, I think, writing genre fiction, um, and and my goal for my writing career is to write books that I really love, but that also people want to read. Um,
yeah.
I guess that's what people call running to market in the author groups. But I just want to write books that I love and then share them with people. So I'm always conscious of like, um, am I being too self indulgent? Am I boring anyone? Because my books are quite fast paced, so I'm always like, this is too boring, speed it up. Get them kissing, get them into bed, get them having feelings. So there, yeah, that's my aims, and don't have any regrets about any books that I've written, because I've just absolutely loved writing them, and every single one. And I just want to know that, I love to know when people enjoy reading them.
So I speaking of like releasing books and everything, what is your release day ritual then? Like when you're like finally published and now it's out in the world and like people are reacting to it, like do you have a special release day ritual or do you just go on with your day?
It used to feel like when I was releasing like my first 4 or 5 books, it felt like release day. I was just so busy and I didn't have time to stop doing something all day. And now I guess I've got things down. I've got all my preparation down and my marketing plan down. That sort of release day is it's so much quieter now, and I kind of like that. All the hard work's done, and I have Facebook groups to post in, and I have, excuse me, I have messages to reply to on Instagram and TikTok. And I think most people know if they write to me on Instagram and or Facebook, I always reply. If I haven't, then it's because I've accidentally missed you and I'm so sorry. But I love talking to people. So people slide into my DMs all the time. And I just love when I hear from people about books, or even just like I put something in my Instagram stories and people pop up and chat to me about it. And I adore that. And so I always spend release day now replying to messages and sharing the gorgeous edits that people have made. I do check my Amazon rank, of course, and I I check my reviews. My I do love reading reviews, especially my ARC reviewers. And the first week or two when a book's out, I read all reviews because I do want to know if there's something in the book that I've fluffed or that or that people might be reacting negatively to. Like if something appears again and again in reviews, I never change a book. I think the only thing that I can remember changing is in Come to Daddy. I mention her housemate by name at one point. She's got a housemate called Sean or Simon or something, and that tripped an ARC reviewer up because I'd named him. She expected him to come back in the story, so I went back and changed that. But I rarely go and change anything apart from maybe fix some typos they always get through, the little bastards.
Yeah.
But I find that for the ARC reviewers especially, I love reading their reviews because they are reviewing the book. They're not reviewing me. I think that's some of the hardest reviews to read. The negative reviews are when somebody says this author doesn't know what they're doing, they're trash, and they talk quite
Yeah.
negatively about me when I just wish they would talk about the book. And they can tell they can. I love it. I'm fine when people are like, this book sucks, this heroine is horrible, and this hero is just such an asshole. It's like, that's absolutely fair. That's reviewing the book. But it does feel, I find that as time goes on after a book's released, the reviews can sometimes start talking about me as a person. So that's why I tend to stop looking at reviews after 1 or 2 weeks after the book's released. So that's generally my release day ritual. Yeah, and then I drink a big bottle of wine and close it up.
So it gets better, you're saying. Like at first, like I'm currently in the phase of, oh my God, it's release day. What am I doing? Where can I go? How much can I promote? Like
Yeah,
what can I
it's so
do?
intense.
Like you're saying it's gonna get better eventually. You're gonna find like your
Absolutely.
plan.
Yeah. Yeah, because at first you're just throwing everything at every wall in a marketing sense, going, what sticks? What's going to get my book in front of people?
Yeah. I think now with like not I mean we're finishing up now, but like I think with TikTok it's I don't know, but it's kind of like taken I don't know, taken a weight off my shoulders somehow. It's like with TikTok it's much easier for me to promote it because you're just posting. I mean, you do have to make the
Definitely.
videos, but like
Yeah,
it's less hassle than Facebook. And Facebook bans you very easily. I mean, TikTok does too, but like, yeah, I don't know.
I got a comment deleted by TikTok last night because I said he's an asshole, and I was talking about my character, but TikTok thought I
Oh
was
god.
bullying someone. But I'm like, let me call my character
Oh
an
man.
asshole. But yeah, TikTok's amazing, isn't it? I started a TikTok for Lilith because I saw I was where I was finding a lot of my reverse harem reads, and TikTok loves reverse harem and they love dark books, and it's
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. And I hope it stays the same for a long time because it's just wonderful for authors and reviewers.
I've been on Tick for like 4 months or so, and I mean not
Hmm.
actively, but like I've been on and off all the time, and like they've just been gushing about Den of Vipers, and I eventually
Yeah,
like, okay, I'm gonna read it. Okay,
yeah.
stop, I'm going to read
TikTok
it.
absolutely loves Den of Vipers, and it's
Oh
wonderful. Like
god.
I feel like in a genre, there's always that one book that breaks the whole genre open, and
Mm-hmm.
like Twilight for young adults, vampire and romance, and then like the Hunger Games for young adult fantasy, and 50 Shades for like the whole kink surge that we've had since then. So Den of Vipers has done that for reverse harem, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I love TikTok. I hope it continues this way and that like more people discover it and like find new ways to promote themselves, cuz like even on
Yeah,
like a bad day, some like a random TikTok video can like do some numbers, and then you have a good day. Like that just like ups
definitely.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that
Yeah.
too. I was just so um I just love when a video takes off and you get such a response to it, and yeah, it's wonderful how it can do that. It's unlike any other platform that way that I've had for myself, experienced for myself.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, like people, I mean, they're saying like to like it used to be like long form content like with YouTube, but now like people are moving towards like this shorter attention span thing, like IG
Mm.
Reels, TikTok, and everything. So I'm curious to see how that continues. But yeah, I think we have some developments coming our way, and they're already underway. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be an author. It's an exciting time to be reading your books. And I think we're gonna wrap up now. And I don't know. I just want to say thank you for coming on, and thank you for sharing all like your life, your books, like your little Lilith secrets, like the Lila secrets. And I'm definitely now going to go check out the Lilith book because I'm in a reverse harem mood right now. I'm reading like
Oh,
a bunch of
awesome.
reverse
Well,
harem books. So
yeah. Oh, I hope you enjoy it. Send me a DM. And thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful. You've taken such good care of me. I feel like the whole process has been wonderful. Thank you. With your, what are we calling it? The koala kink.
yeah, the Kinky Koala Club. I don't know.
Kinky
I think it's
koala.
yeah. um I always end the podcast by telling people to bring their own koala next time.
Yes.
So so I guess you guys like whoever like go to Brianna Hale's Instagram, Goodreads, Amazon. Lilith Vincent is your other author name,
Yeah.
and
Lilith Vincent is the Mafia Reverse Harem. Yeah.
we look forward to
I know.
your Lila James book.
Oh, thank you. And if
And
anyone hasn't read my books before, then either for Brianna, start with The Protege or Control Freak, because those two are my most two popular ones. And
yes,
if you want something darker and mafia, there's Come to Daddy from Brianna Hale, or there's First Comes Blood from Lilith Vincent.
I personally stand like my stan books, like my Brianna books are definitely Protege, and like the love don't cost
Love
nothing.
don't cost nothing.
I was always singing that when when I was reading that duet. It was just so yeah, thank you for coming,
Yeah, it's been awesome. Thank you so much.
and bring your own koala next time.